Welcome back to Lather Talk. Today, we're talking to the CEO and founder of Henson Shaving, Daniel Jantzi. Welcome to the show, Daniel. We're so glad to have you on today.
Hey man, how's it going? Good to be here.
And with me, as always, is my co-host, Gerard. Gerard, how's it going?
Doing great. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Daniel.
Sir.
Just mixing things up. I know sometimes, Gerard, I introduced you before, so keeping you on your toes.
Always.
Yeah. Well, Daniel.
Curveball started already.
Yeah. I know it starts early.
Screw the plan.
What plan? We don't.
You think there's plans?
There's no plan.
You think we planned this? Thank you for the credit.
Well, Daniel, for those for our listeners who might not be familiar with Henson Shaving, do you mind sharing a little bit of background about how the company started and what you guys do?
Sure. Henson Shaving is a company that was formed from myself and my brothers. My brothers have an aerospace machine shop, and my background is in e-commerce. And so we've always wanted to do life together. We grew up together. Our kids go to school together. And at one point for 8 years, we lived together, all three of our families, and on a compound. It was a really neat experience. And so we've always wanted to work together, but I'm like super digital and they're super, I would say analog, but digital version of analog manufacturing. So their business for the last 20 years has been like manufacturing of, I'll say like very sensitive components. Their business is to make satellite fixtures that are excessively complex, where other traditional manufacturers would struggle to manufacture. So they're kind of this like rescue shop, or this like shop that will do the parts that most other shops would struggle to hit. And so that's kind of become their niche a little bit, kind of the high complexity, tight tolerance components. And so I was kind of sitting here eating popcorn, watching them for 20 years run their business, wishing that I was a part of it. And they always saw the digital world, quick moving and fast growth. And they were always like, you know, lucky you to double my business. I need to spend $40 million on machines. For you to double your business, your website has to grow a little bit more, you know, like, so we've always wanted to mix businesses. And so about 1.5 years ago, there was a very brief window. There was a major satellite manufacturer that went bankrupt, and we had, I think, 9 machines working for them at the time. And so there was some emotional, what the heck are we going to do here? And we said, hey, like maybe that was the chance. And we knew we wanted to make a razor. We kind of figured, we kind of had this like preconceived notion that if we could apply what we've learned on manufacture, like manufacturing can be tricky. It can be really hard, and these guys have gotten really good at it. And so I kind of just thought, gosh, if I could get these guys to make something that a customer could feel, that the customer would have a chance to feel what these guys do every day to hit the tolerances that they do. So the design that my brother came up with for the AL13 relies very much on tight tolerances. The total blade exposure being 1.3 thousandths of an inch. If you're off by half a thou, you've got, what is that, like, you know, 42 something percent too much blade exposure. That's a lot for half a thou, for half of a thousandth of an inch. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we basically thought if we could hold these tolerances at scale, we would be able to make a product that if you handed it to somebody without any explanation or, you know, arm twisting, they would kind of think it's a good, like we thought we could make a good razor. So we got to work designing the AL13. We made it. We put it on the market in 2020. I believe it was July. And they sold. And so then we made more, and now those are selling. So we're just kind of doing our best to keep the wheels on the bus here and keep everything working. The product's selling, and we're having a great time. So everybody's just, we're having the time of our lives. We're just having a great time. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Before, so kind of like in that gap where you and your brothers were thinking what to manufacture, were there any other products like in consideration besides the safety razor?
Yes and no. Okay. I'm actually going to say this without their permission, so this is just going to be my take.
Okay.
It's careful because I have to like speak for everybody. There's a lot of there's a lot of machinists. Like there's a lot of people who have their hands in this jar. I don't mean like shares and stuff. I mean Equidem, any of that. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of people whose heart has been put into this. Like this is 20 years of like paying, you know, keeping employees on payroll, buying new machines when you want to grow your company. Like this has been 20 years of these guys keeping this business alive that has now been able to stay alive long enough to birth something that's so impactful as what I think the AL13 could be. So I have to be careful how I speak to this, but I'll answer the question from my perspective. I didn't want to get into a novelty business. I don't want to get into a business where the tolerances are a gimmick or that they're for fake reasons. I have a razor on my desk here. This is one of my early ones when we were experimenting with anodizing, and we had a plastic bushing on the bottom and all these. This is like an early one, and the blade exposure on this it's off by a little bit, and you can feel it. So I can't think of another business where the tolerances aren't just a story.
Yeah.
These tolerances are real. If you miss them, you'll feel it. And when you hit them, it's nice. And so I couldn't see another product. There was lots of stuff we could have made. Anything from fidget spinners to pens to knives but the difference between the AL13 holding the tolerances that it does and some other razors that are on the market, the constant thing that we saw with other razors was blade support. Was a lack of blade support. Not so much in the safety razor market, but in the cartridge market. If you look at a cartridge razor underneath the microscope, you can like grab a pen, you can push the blades, and like they're not supported very firmly. And so our basic hypothesis was that if we support the blade really well, then all of a sudden in those tolerances, I'm air quoting for those listening on audio version, the tolerances, the marketing buzzwords, aerospace, like they actually result in a product value difference. Versus if we went into a product that was like a novelty where like if I said, here's a 1 inch by 1 inch cube, it would sit on your desk and say that's 1 inch exactly. It's a novelty. There doesn't have that utility to it. So the shave, the difference that the AL13, the shave that it's giving is directly attributable back to the way that it was manufactured. So to me, the reason we chose a razor and not another product was because it was an example. It was a really good chance for the tolerances to actually be the difference maker, and therefore have a legitimate, in my opinion, a legitimate product.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Cool.
Although I think
good, because that's my reason.
No, yeah, because I'm thinking like, well, yeah, there are plenty of other things a machine shop could pick on that are just like, you know, common products, the kind of like surefire wins. So I was curious about that because a safety razor, it could, yeah, like you said, like maybe you're coming in if I wasn't sure what your knowledge on wet shaving and like safety razors were beforehand, but it's like
none.
This is just like what something like the hipsters are doing to like tap into something that's like vintage or was cool for the grandpas or something.
So let me be really clear about something. We are not wet shavers. Like we are not. I think there's one person on the team who you could maybe call a wet shaver. Mm-hmm. We were not wet shavers. This is not a passion project where we were so excited about shaving. This was we are in our DNA, and myself and my two brothers' DNA is, and sometimes annoyingly, is we're problem solvers. We will often be the people who are at a friend's house, trying to make something right, whether it be, helping them with a layout downstairs. Like we're the type of people that would like we get personal satisfaction out of fixing a problem. So I wasn't, as a non-wet shaver, I wasn't happy with the products that I saw on the market. And from a manufacturing perspective, my brothers did some research and said, look, like we see the way that these people are making these products, and we think that we could make one that's different. And so we all kind of collectively saw, almost like at the exact same time, the opportunity for, I'll say like I would say a precision. I can't even use some words now because you've been used so much, but a razor that holds these ludicrous tolerances. So we thought that if we could apply what we thought would be good physics principles, like fulcrums and leverage, like if you walk out a diving board, it gets the tensile strength of the diving board doesn't change, your just distance from the fulcrum does, so it gets more bouncy the further you walk away. All of a sudden we have like this gnarly monster grip on the thing, and then all of a sudden there's no chatter, there's no vibration, and there's no less irritation, just as a result of physics. So we knew that we wanted to play in the literal and matter-of-fact game. We wanted to make something that didn't need a whole bunch of marketing or we didn't want to have to like make a product that we had to chase all the customers around and say, hey, you know, although we do have ads for the record, but we wanted something that would kind of sell itself. Coming from the guy who's responsible for the sales, I kind of want a product that sells itself, you know. Lucky for me, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And thanks for being upfront about your background. We were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. Just people who enter the wet shaving space, people who are making razors, brushes, soap, and whatever. We shouldn't assume, and speaking as a hobbyist, we shouldn't assume it's someone that's coming from within the community. There's great innovation to be had and improvements and just a variety of products from people coming from all over. So thanks for putting that out there. Since we are kind of talking about wet shaving community and whatnot, what has the response been of the wet shaving community? So more people we would call as hobbyists, like what's their response to the products of Henson Shaving?
Well, from our perspective, we were kind of worried when we started with, when we first did research on the wet shaving industry. I don't want to say it seemed fickle, but it seemed like it was difficult if I were to make a spreadsheet of everybody's feedback on specific products, the spreadsheet would be not random, but pretty close to it. We've gotten feedback that our razor has got a handle that's too short, and we have people that's saying it's too long. You know what I mean? So we're kind of in this like really tricky, weird spot in the middle where we've got these like physics pursuits where we believe that if you have the right geometry, the right leverage, and the right materials with the right cutting angle, etc., then you'll achieve a result. And then we have what everybody's saying. And so we kind of thought we would get like, I wouldn't say like lit up, but we thought we would be like torched, because essentially we've made this razor that, imagine that like Elon Musk comes out with autopilot, and then there's all the people who like learned to drive when they were 16 on the dirt roads, out back in the country. And they're like, hey, you're taking away the pursuit of something that we enjoy. You're taking you and your autopilot, albeit, is something that's beneficial for society. Mm-hmm. There's going to be an element of society that's going to say, hey, we kind of like driving. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And all of a sudden, so Henson comes out and we're like, hey, we're going to sandwich this blade right in between two perfectly aligned parallel pieces of metal such that nothing more than the exactly calculated amount of material can come underneath it, thus kind of alleviating the requirement to like actually know how to shave. So then you go into a community whose like personal pride and joy is learning to master and wield the tool that if not wielded properly could do serious damage. Then all of a sudden you'd be like, hey, it's now easier. And they're like, cool, you just lowered the bar to entry into our passion project. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine if I said, hey, like, the height you need to be to get on the ride is now this high. It's like, you just lowered the bar for entry. So we thought we'd get like kind of lit up. We thought we'd be like not welcomed at all. And there was this really interesting balance between people being like, look, it doesn't have enough, it's not aggressive enough. And I'm like, why do you want something more aggressive? Like it doesn't do a really great, but you want to feel it. You want to choose the angle and you want to have that sense of pursuit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kids don't like playing tag with, stationary kids. They like the chase. And so when we were talking about this product, we were genuinely worried not worried, but we were genuinely expecting to have people say, you've eliminated the chase and that isn't fun. And albeit that we did get lots of that, we got a ton of cool, that's how it should be done. You know what I mean? Like, so we kind of got this weird mixture between like, it's not aggressive enough and I can't feel the blade, hashtag is it in yet? Like there was all sorts of like, are you even like, this isn't real? And then there's this other group of people that have like shaving has been painful for a long time. Now it's not. So we're kind of this like in the middle zone between getting, you know, fried from some people and other people going, holy smokes, we, you know, the reviews that we get, you know, everyone in our family has found ourselves reading them just because we all like hearing that people are happy. And, you know, there'll be lots of comments from people that are like, I've been looking for this razor for 50 years. And, you know, we didn't know that that was the case when we made it. We kind of theorized it might be. The goal was to make something that 9 out of 10 people would agree is objectively better than their alternative. That was the goal.
Gotcha.
Right now we're sitting at around, we think we're sitting around 98%. Our return rate is 2%. On the 30,000 razors we've sold, I think we've had like 500 returns.
Okay.
And half of them, the razor actually, they shipped it. So sometimes people will like write angry letters to us about the razor not working. And then they ship it back to us, and they ship it to us like this.
It's upside down.
And I'm like,
the plate upside down.
So I said to my brother, I was like, hey, can we make it so they can't assemble it upside? He's like, I no.
You know?
No, not. It's not. If you don't understand, I mean, sorry.
It's not the first time I've seen people do that. Which is hilarious. It's like, you know, like, oh, I got this terrible shave with this razor, and, you know, like, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like, you know, like everyone's talking about how good it is. Like, all right, can you post a setup? Is there something wrong with maybe like the threading? Is there an alignment issue? And literally it's like, oh, the base plate's upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
Completely not put together properly. You should probably switch that.
I mean, like, it's like tech support, right? Like, have you tried turning off your computer? Like, oh, sorry, that never occurred to me. All right.
Move your mouse.
Yeah.
What's the mouse?
Is your computer
cursor,
plugged in?
The arrow on the screen. No, move the mouse. If you move it, if you look, there's an arrow that'll go on the screen.
Yeah. Well, you always got to factor in user error, right? So even with razors.
Yeah, Elon says quite clearly, all user input is error. If we have to explain how to do it, we're already wrong. So we're trying to figure ways to make it. I mean, we ship it assembled. I don't know. I'm out of ideas for how to make it more simple. But hey, 98%. I think like 60% of the population likes Apple. So if we're sitting around somewhere in the 90s, I think we're in a decent spot. So
yeah,
if any of those 500 people are listeners and they just heard this, there is no shame. None of us will know the better if you end up getting the razor again and figuring out that was the problem.
I know exactly.
Just do not do. You know, you don't tell us, and none of us know the better.
Yeah.
If you left Daniel an angry email or one of his colleagues, you know, you can say, "Oh, sorry guys, my bad. That one's on me." Okay. Well, thanks for sharing the responses. And just to like, I don't know if you have the data for this too, but how about? I've always thought that the design. Personally, so I would say the handle is on the longer, slender side compared to other razors on the market. However, I think given the ease of use for your razor and that handle combined with the weight, it should be really appealing to women wet shavers. I'm just wondering if you have any responses from that, you know, from women customers regarding that.
So we have. We have got a lot of responses from women customers. Most of our sales right now are from word of mouth. I think yesterday probably less than maybe 20% of sales were from marketing, and 80% of sales were from some form of word of mouth.
Okay.
Or non-attributable, not attributed to marketing efforts. So one of the things that we have found out is that women are talking about our product, and to be careful how much detail I get into, because some of it's not my business, but they're telling us that for some parts of their body, it's a breath of fresh air. Okay. It's an experience where the simplicity, remember I was talking about not having to learn? There's some parts of your body where you don't want to learn. You want to like you just want it to work. And so for legs and ankles and thighs and all the bendy parts, then they're saying, hey, look, like it's doing a really good job. And so I think actually more of our people we're sort of transitioning from the wet shaving community, which, by the way, total hat tip, it's the reason we're here. We would not, I mean, the early days sales were the confident and the comments and the feedback and the letters. My gosh, we've had people come to the office and tour the factory. Like the love from the community was what really commissioned us to kick this into high gear. So we're by no means, not appreciative or thankful in any way. A tad surprised, and I think humbled. Yes, but also we're seeing a transition. Now we're getting word spreading among cartridge users, and a lot of those are females. And female cartridge users being like, hey, I've been paying the pink tax for a long time. And I mean, at $3 a head or $2.50 a head, it adds up. You know what I mean? Like we're seeing people spending $12, $13, $15 a month on shaving. And now they're spending that with our system, with our razor, every 5 years. So, you know what I mean? Like imagine coming to market being like, hey, you don't have to shave the day before anymore. And it's 1/60th, is it 1/60th of the cost? Like it's some ludicrously, it's a decent order of magnitude less of cost. So yeah, we're seeing the women definitely catch on with this, and now they're telling people about it.
Potentially 1/60th of the cost, unless they want to collect all of the colors and then all of the various materials.
And then it's only like a third.
Yeah.
Right. Still, yeah.
You can buy like every razor we make, and it's a third.
You're still coming out in the green.
We did early days. We did some calculation. I was like, had a couple beers one night, and I was like, wait a second. What if you stuck like $12 a month into like an investment? Like, what if you got somebody a Henson when they were married? As like a wedding present, and then the kid turns 18. It came out to like almost $20,000 for like 20. I think it was 25 years. It came out to like 20 grand if you put it into like a respectable
cartridge razors.
Yeah, as opposed to. Yeah. So I mean, like, imagine being like, oh yeah, my face hasn't hurt for 20 years, and oh, by the way, happy 25th birthday, kid. My mom and I are out. Like we're going to like Bermuda for a year. Like we were even thinking about like partnering with like UNICEF or something early and being like, let's put this like $13-15 a month to good use. And I thought it would just convolute the buying process. But why the razor company partner with UNICEF? That's stupid. Like there's no way to win. But we thought it was a cool idea, but didn't do it. So no, there was a whole bunch of neat options as to what we could make turn into some marketing gimmick about how much money you could be saving. We just kind of steered clear and say, let people do their own math.
Not getting enough drama, talking smack, or hooligan hijinks from your regular forums, social media, or Reddit? Well, the Lather Talk Discord is not for you. Sorry to disappoint. But if you're looking for a cool place to hang out with fellow traditional shaving degenerates, come on down to the Lather Talk Discord. Share your shave of the days, mail calls, or talk about your favorite hardware or software and just about everything in between. Once again, that's Lather Talk Discord. Check out the link below.
Great responses, and cool to hear about also kind of word of mouth within women shavers, because I think that's definitely, speaking from the wet shaving community side of things, it is heavily male. I don't have any numbers for you listeners, but let's
just say lots.
Just lots, more than half.
Yes.
And it's funny because I mean,
more than half.
we all have body hair, no matter what gender we are.
Right.
Right. So it makes sense, and that's great news. I'm glad that word of mouth, because I always thought that this would be great for women who want to get into using a safety razor. I did want to pivot slightly though, because we've been talking a lot about the AL13, and I did want to find out a little bit more information about, so that came out. So how did the development and release of the TI-22, your titanium razor, how did that come about?
I don't know. I think it was a bit of a flex. I think that there's a bit of utility in the increase in weight, but I think if we're being honest, there's a lot of flex in it.
Okay.
The titanium is like it was like the guys who made the parts for the Mars rover in our shop. My brother said to me one day, he's like, if this razor has them pissed. Like this razor took a long time to make. And the guys who made the Mars rover parts were like, this is significantly harder than what we made for the stuff we have on the International Space Station. That was hard. Like we've got some gnarly parts in space that we're really proud of. And by the way, I say we, just to clear this up, since I was 12 years old, I've been at my brother's shop, working, sweeping the floors, cutting my typing hands up. And I'm not a mechanical person by any means. My hands are soft and I work on computers, but I've been there my whole life, and I'm them. And if anything were to happen to that company, I'd be in it with them just the same as they are. So I say we, just to be very clear, they're the manufacturer. We're and they own a chunk of Henson, and we're in it together. But I say we, like we're in OEM, an original equipment manufacturer. But they're a 20-year veteran shop, and we're a brand new company. Just in case it's like, what's we and how it doesn't sneaky. Sure. We are literally one entity, and well, I talk like we're one entity because I feel that we are. I don't believe there's any person on this team who's any more or less responsible for the production of where we're at now. We were kind of joking about it over a beer the other day. Where there is not just a shred. Like if my brother Ryan if we wouldn't have kept the business for 20 years, Brad wouldn't have had such talented machinists to do what they're like. If we wouldn't have brought in the e-commerce, this never would have gone anywhere. So, what's the thing about a three-way catalyst? Like if any of the three aren't there, then it doesn't exist. So we're in that spot. But anyway, getting back to your point, we didn't create the titanium because the aluminum was lacking, right? So let's say that you were going to just shave with a razor in your hand. For those on audio, I'm holding a blade. If you shave with a razor, if you were to just hold the blade, you'd cut your face off. Okay, so cool. So let's call the value gap from 0 to, any razor. Let's call that a significant improvement over just holding a blade. Mm-hmm. So then what happens is then you make the holder well, and it becomes significantly better. And then if you make it well, then it fades. And so what happens is there's a typical line of thinking or way of thinking in the wet shaving community where weight matters. And it does. For a lot of razors, it does. Weight matters, inertia matters, physics, inertia is a thing. Eliminating chatter is a thing because you've got more weight, and it doesn't hit that resonant frequency where it wants to bounce along your skin because the tension of it riding along your skin relative to the weight don't oscillate. There's a whole bunch of reasons that people have become akin to heavier razors. The AL13's design is not such that it requires that extra inertia. It's a very efficient razor. Its cutting angle at 30 degrees plus blade support is going to result in significantly less chatter. And a lot of people will be shocked that even if they're used to heavier razors, they'll find that the lighter razor does very well. They'll find that it's good. So what happens is there's this massive drop in utility. There's this massive drop in value going from a $70 razor to a $250 razor. Like, what is that? Like, it's completely a flex. If I were to explain to you what's involved in this razor, like there's a titanium handle with a tungsten insert that connects to a threaded brass insert that reconnects into titanium with a tungsten bushing. There's like 3 of the ugliest materials to manufacture, titanium and tungsten, in this razor, like tungsten. It is a gnarly bastard of a material. It will take your machines, it'll spit them out. You need to know what you're doing to work with these materials. So all of a sudden we make a razor out of titanium that holds 2/10 tolerances. Let's be clear, 2/10. What that means is 1/5 of a thou. Your hair is probably around 4 thou. Actually, John, your hair is probably like 3 thou. So normal hair is around 3 to 4 thou. So what happens is take one of those hairs and cut it into 25 pieces. 1/25th of a thickness of your hair is the tolerances that the titanium holds on parallel and blade position. So we have multiple pieces all holding 2/10 tolerances on titanium. It's actual aerospace. It's like actual satellite mental level of ludicrousness. And the problem is that then you shave with it and it's nice, like it's heavy and it's nice, but do I want to go and tell the whole world that they have to spend $250 American dollars to have a good shave? Hell no, not at all. So the drop off in, I'm going to say like value, like dollars to output. Do you know what I mean? Like a car that has all the windows, great value, no rain while you're driving. Let's call that good value.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get into like heated seats for 2 days a year. It's like, all right, that was $4,000 and I used them 3 times. That's expensive stuff. So the titanium is, if you appreciate things that are well made, you will hold it in your hands and you will experience. There are people who will never, ever, 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 even if we offered them their money back, they would never return it because they derive so much value from the way that it's made, how proper it is, and what it physically, how it shapes. The value is not there above the aluminum. So our priority is and always will be the aluminum razor, in the sense that it's extremely accurate, it's very light, and it's economical to manufacture. You start getting into a brass or a stainless steel, now all of a sudden you have this increasing tool where you've got much more humans that need to be involved. You need to recalibrate your machines. You've got more heat degradation, which means you need to run. You can't run the spindles as fast as you can run, say, aluminum. Like we can run aluminum at 46,000 RPMs on 46,000 RPM 5-axis CNCs. So we can run them really fast and really hard because we know how to do that. Gripping these things and holding them in the machine so you can and machine them quickly is in itself an art. But generally the TI-22 is, it's a marvelous output for those who appreciate it. And for those who understand what goes into it, that's why we took it off the market for a little while. It wasn't because we couldn't make it. I basically was like, the market doesn't get what went into this. And I got a little bitchy about it. I was like, you know what? We got like 2 or 3 people that's like, there was some blemish on it. And I'm like, nah, man, you don't get it. People aren't getting what went into this thing yet. And I pulled it off the market until I thought people would care. Ironically, when the next one came out, it was a totally different vibe. Everybody was like, holy crap, this is freaking amazing. Thank you guys so much. We've had like people write us letters being like, we know that this took you 20 years to make. We can tell by looking at it. We've had other machine shop owners contact us and be like, we don't know how you did this, but congrats. Like it's been received entirely differently. But yeah, definitely not a replacement to the AL.
Gotcha. And when was it that it returned back to the market?
Boxing Day. Not Boxing Day. Black Friday.
Oh, okay. So that's relatively, yeah. We're talking right now, like in January 2022. So not that long ago. And kind of branching off that question. So thanks for giving us the background to the TI-22. Got a personal request from both myself and also some other people who have the pleasure to use the TI-22. I've been able to use all 3, the mild, the medium, and the aggressive that comes with the titanium. Is there any chance you guys would consider making the aggressive base plate available in the AL13 model?
I have no principal reason against it. I have no thou shall not. It's not on the roadmap because I think that Henson's job is to simplify shaving, not further make it complex. I think there was a couple comments of people being like, oh, they just want to upsell. I'm like, bullshit. If we wanted to upsell something, we'd have like a lotion on our website. I wouldn't tell someone to go buy a $250 razor that took like everything my brothers produced in their lifetime worth of work to upsell on somebody. That's not the idea at all. Mm-hmm. The reason that the aggressive doesn't exist in the AL13 is because if somebody went and bought it on our site, there's an increased probability that they'd have a bad experience. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so we, if I were to take the governor off of my car and to go take the muffler off to increase airflow, the manufacturer would be like, that could get, now you're running increased temperature. And there's other things that could happen that I have to be aware of that, if you ever noticed, like, the customer service team isn't always present in online conversations. So someone can be like, oh, that razor cut me real good. And I'm going to be in the background, like, told you, we're not there for the conversations. And our goal is to have a razor that 9 out of 10 people say that's friggin' good. And so what happens is there's the medium and there's the mild. After you go more above the mild, there's a very select few set of circumstances where the mild is insufficient. And for those people, it's probably due to a nature of preference. And our job is not to chase the wagging tail, the dog wagging the tail. I don't know, insert metaphor here that's cool, but our job isn't to chase preferences. Our job is to make a razor that's objectively good. And the mild and the medium are objectively good. Would I make them the aggressive? Possibly. I don't think that I'd put it on the website and market it though. Mm. So if somebody wanted it, I'd make a private link and make 200 of them and then just not be able to get to it. And then if the wet shaving community wanted to circle it around, they could. No skin off my back. I'm not against that. I'm just not, I don't think that it ought to be marketed. I think it should be simplified, not made more complicated. If that's kind of my best hack of an answer.
Gerard, I see you talking, but you're on mute.
Sorry, using your general math. Sorry about that. It makes sense. If you're trying to make a product that's, objectively good for 90%, of the base that's out there, why would you make something for the remaining 10%? It's just not, doesn't make sense in that, from that standpoint, I guess.
Yeah. So let's be clear here. In the event that we were to make the sale process more noisy, if we were to not discombobulate, if we were to bombard somebody with options, the more options you give somebody, I think if I offered you, have you ever been to a restaurant with a menu that's 4 pages and you're like, and no pictures, come on. I almost want to be like, bro, what are your specials? And just tell me what I should be doing. You're the waitress. Tell me what I should be.
I'm in Southern California. We have Cheesecake Factory. That thing is a novel.
Cheesecake Factory is a perfect example.
That's why I thought it too. Here's a mini novel on.
That's the first negative thing I've ever said about Cheesecake.
It's a magazine.
It is.
We might be going there. We might be going there tonight because the kids requested it. But perfect example of too many options.
Order one pasta dish. It'll feed 6 of you. Okay.
And a salad.
So we were basically just why have all these options? And so if we were to do it and it were to not be on the main page, I'd be much more likely to do it. If there's a strong, I've heard it. If more people want it, I don't know that. I would be interested in hearing it and we'll reevaluate, but it's no skin off our back. It's the machines. It's a dial in. We have the program already written. So it's easy for us to do it.
Right, because that design exists. It's a matter of, well, I do wonder though, when you switch it to a different material, does that matter at all in this case?
No, it definitely does matter with tool selection. It needs to be a lot of stuff redone. But no, we've already, and when I say the program, I mean we've already got the geometry dialed in.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The speeds and feeds of the software is all particulars that are none of my concern.
Gotcha. Daniel, if it's a matter of getting more, basically we're talking about get enough names for pre-order ready, I think we might be able to do that because I've already told you that's something I'm interested in, but I know there's a number of other people, content creators and otherwise, who are interested. So I might need to follow if it's possible. If it's we need a minimum buy, which totally makes sense.
This isn't about dollars and cents. This is about if you guys would, if everybody would care about it. So I just don't know that. I don't know. I don't know. It's a thing. I've heard it a couple times, but maybe I'm wrong. but it's certainly not going to be like a cornerstone of our business, but something we just make for people who want it.
Yeah. And
see, John, all we're doing is like presenting another chance for FOMO. Okay. Like if, you know, for people just to get something that
FOMO
no one else will
sells.
FOMO does sell.
Yeah. Well, does. For all the wrong reasons. Thank you for entertaining my question, and it makes sense. I am all for a easier onboarding process, especially because, like, sure, the wet shaving community hobbyists are going to think about what we want, right? And that is like what we kind of have tried. Like you said, a titanium razor is a luxury product. Gerard and I have talked about it's man jewelry. Well, it's jewelry because anyone can buy it. It's not gender specific. It's jewelry. Yeah, and then you want to go talk about like put a nice polish on it. If we anodize it with some pretty colors, right? I mean, it's a flex.
Somebody just did that. Oh, who the heck did that?
It's the Rolex of grooming.
The Rolex,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, actually, Rolex actually in their early days differentiated themselves based on literal and actual manufacturing chops. So Rolex early days was not necessarily. It was like actually like back in the day when keeping time was like.
The early days are gone though.
Let's fast forward, okay? But they started off with good intentions. It was like
it's a single function device. Okay, yes. This is 2022.
Oh no, I know, but the manufacturer, like there's some art.
I just pissed off the watch community.
I know.
Okay?
Come on, now, Gerard. It can be artistic how a watch is designed. But
absolutely.
Sorry, Daniel.
Absolutely.
you were.
What I was saying was that Rolex started early days with like actual, you know, analog chops in assembly line, right? And so, you know, if you look at the titanium, it's definitely got some utility. It's extremely heavy, and it's very nice to handle. But again, just down to the utility of the shave, it doesn't put it this way. It's not 6 times better. It's not 5 times better like it is in price. Like my watch that's free at a dollar store keeps time. You know, I mean, Rolex knows that there's a deprivating curve in utility. Yeah.
Well, I think since we're kind of on this thread of like different variations that could be in the Henson shaving razors, a lot of our listener questions basically are those kind of questions. Would you consider this? Would you consider that? So, do you mind if I present some of those questions to you right now?
Sure.
All right. Okay. So this is first one here is from Nate Bauermeister. Nate asks, any plans on making another razor, double edge or single edge?
Say that again. Any plans making under the razor
another razor.
Another razor. Sorry, if I.
Oh, another razor.
Another
razor. It's double edge or single edge.
No, okay. Not at all. No, I think that this is where it gets tricky, right? You have to like think of like companies' jobs are like not run out of money. That's when they die. Game over. Like when companies run out of money, that's when they die. So the goal here is to stay alive. And so we have to do what the customer wants. Hey, customer wants this. Why don't you go do that? But at the same time, we can't allow the knee-jerk reaction to desire to expand on something that's functionally very good to potentially its downfall. The AL13 is very good. It is a well-made, geometrically proper. It does a good job. Mm-hmm. And so what we don't want to do is be like, hey, let's go expand on that. What we're seeing right now is word is like spreading that like, you know, there's this razor out there that's really good. And I don't believe that the way to expand that footprint is by making a different one. I think the way to expand that is to make very, very insignificant changes that improve what we hypothesized would make a better shave that we know now that we didn't know when we first made it. So that's the direction we're going in. We're going in the direction where we're going to improve the AL13, not try to make a competitive product to it in any way.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does, and I just paused a bit because I think that answers, like follow-up questions to that. For example, like multiple people ask, would you ever consider making a stainless steel razor?
I'm not against stainless steel. I have no problem with stainless steel. Is a beautiful material. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous material that is, how do I categorize stainless steel? Stainless steel is the common thread that the shaving industry is used to, primarily because of I think that if you were to compare stainless steel and titanium's a little bit more of a flex. Let's be clear. Like, you need to have different permissions and regulations when you're working with titanium. It has, I don't want to say self-combustible, but like borderline self-combustible properties to it while you're machining it, which means you need to have fire suppression. Your shop needs to be graded for it. You need to be able to source titanium from consistent and valid suppliers. Titanium is a tad more of a flex, and it's a little bit, by the way, I say a flex, showing off for the sake of showing off, like just a show. So titanium's a little bit more of a flex than stainless is. Stainless has some really beautiful properties with its like anti-corrosive. It's really strong. It's got hard Rockwell. It's a little less tricky to machine than titanium, but not a whole lot less. It's probably in the similar, speeds and feeds. How quickly you can manufacture it is probably very similar to titanium. Titanium has just a little bit more of a flair to it, in our opinion. I don't know if there's any necessary, other than the slight weight change, would be any properties that would be inherently different in stainless, other than you're sort of are more in line with people's expectations. There'd be a small price reduction, but not a significant one. I think what everybody's kind of looking for is this like halfway step between titanium and aluminum.
Yeah.
And here's where I'll talk to you like there was no veil and no curtain. There's the shop. So the shop's over there behind me, 10 kilometers. Actually, it's that way for these, but this example, it's back here. So to make the stainless steel razor, you need to have seriously heavy automation to do this even remotely cost economically. If you were making, I don't want to hold up somebody else's razor. If you were to make a regular safety razor with 2.5 thou tolerances, meaning here's your line and you have to be 2.5 thou this way and 2.5 thou this way within spec. So this is your room for error. Okay. On the camera, I'm moving I got, a decent amount of space here. Mm-hmm. The tolerances that the stainless steel and titanium Henson would be so much smaller than that at 0.2. So many more things matter. Do you know what I mean? The temperature of your machine matters. The temperature of the coolant flowing into your machine matters. Your tool wear matters, which means now, every time you make an operation, you need to go back and measure your tool wear to make sure that tool wear was as predicted. Because now all of a sudden on those 0.2 tolerances, your tool wear needs to be right exactly where you expect it to be. And dozens more things that probably nobody will care about that just make it very difficult to sustain tolerances that this design requires that doesn't really show up in a marketing pamphlet. You know what I mean? Like if I were to go out and be like, hey, everybody, here's the stainless steel. We're over here like, here you go. It's like really freaking hard. And they're like, it's got a blemish on it. We're like, oh God, never mind. Like it's really freaking hard to make these. So we're trying to figure out like, where are we going to do well? And if we make 150 of them and it's like really freaking hard to make, and it's like, does anyone even really care? So we're sitting here where we're like, look, we know that everybody wants the aluminum. We know that like while we're on the phone, we've sold a bunch of them. Like they're selling every few minutes now. And so we have proof positive that that's what people want. And I'm just not, I have no knowledge of whether or not the market, it's the same answer as the aggressive. I don't have anything against it.
Yeah.
I'm just not willing to demonstrate, like, it's the same reason we don't have shaving cream, you know? Most businesses in our space, if you do the math on customer acquisition costs, overhead, manufacturing, there's no money in this. You know, like there's no way to, this isn't a profitable, it's not supposed to be a profitable business, which is why you'll see companies make these gift baskets and lotion packs, and they'll start, and I have no intention of producing a shaving cream, only because that I can attest with reasonably high degree of confidence that our geometry results in a really good shave for people. I don't know how to say that with shaving cream. I don't know how to say this will work for everybody, because I don't know I don't know. You got really nice skin and I got a really not nice. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know how to make chemistry that applies to all the skin types the same. And if you were to go and ask everybody what their favorite lotion is, they'll all argue with you, and that's fine. It's okay. I don't know what you want to smell like, and I don't want to guess. That's for you to go to the smelling community and pick which one you like the most, not for me to choose on your behalf. But I can choose the cutting angle on your behalf, because you'll appreciate that. So we're trying our best to be like demonstrably confident, like demonstrably competent. We want to have a product that is good, not a business model that is super good. And our goal was, if you make a product that's good, you can get around the need for the business model that might not be good, because your product's good. And if people tell each other about it, then your cost for acquisition go down. And if your cost per acquisition of a new customer go down, now all of a sudden $10, you know, a couple bucks profit per piece is like possible now, because you're not like out there spending all your money on marketing all day. Like, this is like the page right out of Elon Musk's book. Like, he's crushing other car competitors because he doesn't have to advertise, because his freaking product is good. So like, what's the difference between the 2021 F-150 and the 2020? I don't know. But I'll tell you, my Model 3 Tesla outside it's embarrassingly better than the other cars. It's really good. And I've told more people about that than people watching commercials. So now his sales are crushing it, and his profitability is crushing it, because the product is good. So where we keep running into issues with aggressive and stainless and lotions are all kind of the same answer. Make something that's objectively good and stand on that, and stop with the other stuff. You know, stop with the noise. And our goal is to be like marketing zero shortly. Like, we don't want to be this big, huge company scaling and buying. And oh my gosh, the guys who did Dollar Shave Club, what did they, like, they raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. They finally sold, they got like 20 million bucks. Like, they did this massive company, and it all got eaten up by, my gosh, if we went and did a raise, and you'd need to overpay for all these extra things, and all that money would have to go somewhere. Right now, we're selling the razor for like a few bucks more at the end of the month than what it costs to get it to you. Like anyone who has the AL13 is like $10 away from having their, like, the cost. Like, it's not a lot. Like, if you look at all the bills, FedEx, getting it to you, customer service, it's not a lot. There's not a lot of money in this. Like, anyone else, we've got someone who commented, they're like, $70 for this razor. Like, you must be nuts. I'm like, bro, the machine that measured the razor was $1 million. It's $1 million just for the ruler to measure this product. Like, we're in an order of magnitude different here than traditional manufacturing. And the only way that it all works is product competence. Our job as I'm pointing at my office, at the Henson team here. You know, we got Danielle in customer service. We got Matt, who's doing all our web stuff, and Ashley. Everyone's job here is simply to expose the product that Ryan and my brothers made to the world, in hopes that we just be like, stand back and let the relationship happen, where our job is to expose someone to the product, for them to use it, for them to like it, and tell somebody else. All I have to do is not get in the way of that. You know, I have to just shut up enough, which is maybe why I shouldn't be on this podcast. I just have to shut up enough to let the product be exposed and let the product's legitimacy carry it. That's what we're trying to do. So anytime anything comes in with these new ways that we could do something new or better or different handle, or what if you made 112 different heads and 15 types of aggression and start selling multi-combo packs, and how come you don't have t-shirts for sale? I'm just like, I don't know how to make t-shirts. Like, that's not my business. My business is Ryan and Brad made a really, really good razor. That's what we want to expose to the world. So that's, and their team, by the way, anyone listening. You ever want to know how to cut something? You ever want to know how to fix something? Skip the MBA. Skip the business guys, skip the spreadsheets, go talk to the machinists. Machinists made this product. I didn't. So when you want to talk about how to cut hair and cutting angles and force vectors and all these other things that I only barely understand because I've been around them long enough. And if anybody in the comments, you read any of the comments, I have to often say things ass backwards and forwards and which ways, because it's not it's not my native tongue. My job is just simply expose this thing to the best way that I know how. And so the best way I know how is the product is just, it's really good, and we have to stay focused on it. And where I think a lot of companies run foul is they have a good product, but their knee-jerk reaction to like optimize and improve is like incessant. And it's almost like, why? You know, Elon says that really good engineers are often get foiled by the fact that they engineer problems they ought not be engineering. You know, he says, you know, when you go to university, one of the downfalls is you have to answer your professor's dumb questions sometimes. Sometimes you can't just say, hey, I don't want to engineer this problem. I don't want to deal with it. So Henson has all of these opportunities. And my God, my email bin, all of these opportunities for what we could be doing next and what it could look like and how many different variations we could be making and how to, we did the math. We have 30,000 customers. If 10% of those customers bought lotion at an average gross margin of 80% on an extra $28, like you're talking an extra $9. That's an extra, look, there's a couple $1,000,000 there that's sitting there because we didn't sell lotions. Like, doesn't really show up in the spreadsheets as a good idea, but if you're focused on your product, the rest will seem like a distraction. So what we need to do is tether the inbound requests through the focus of where we're going. So that's a long and horribly long-winded version of we're trying to stay focused while being respectful of the people and what got us here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think I saw this as a question. This just kind of came to mind. I have no idea if it's a good idea or not.
I have no idea if what I just said was a good idea. We're all in no idea land here, by the way. We're all just guessing.
Would it be worth it to look into making your own blades? Uh-oh. Oh no. I like that idea. John, get ready to cut this section out, okay?
No. Okay. We didn't want to make our own blades.
Okay.
So let me just tell you, what goes into blade making is a lot. If I were to say the term disintermediation, does everybody know what that means? Like where there's a real estate broker, there's the buyer, there's the real estate broker, and then there's the house seller. Mm-hmm. If you were to disintermediate the real estate agent, you'd knock on the door, not call the realtor, and just go and make someone an offer on their house.
Okay.
You've disintermediated, you've skipped the realtor. So to me, disintermediation comes after competence. You skip somebody once you're competent or if you're competent. And to disintermediate somebody for business gains before competence is the first step in the death of a business, in my opinion. Why am I buying computer monitors like a sucker? Acer sitting here making all this money. I have no business making computer monitors. I will buy computer monitors from Best Buy and they will deliver it and I will have somebody plug them in. I have no intention of getting into the monitor business. That would be a distraction for me because I don't bring enough value proposition to disintermediate Acer. They can take their 32% gross margin. Thank you very much. I'm not in the monitor business. So when companies want to disintermediate or kick out other companies, it's because they have competence that supersedes all of the other options. And when you see businesses that get into sketchy land or don't go there, or I would have some siren alerting them saying, caution, do not do this, is when their attempt to get into a new market and disintermediate somebody else is done by justification of profits. They want to do it. They want to be good at it because they want the money from it. That is not our goal. Our goal is not to just do whatever we have to do to make the most amount of money possible. Our goal is to do whatever we have to do to be competent. So what that means is we wanted to find the best blades that we could. So we were reached out to by Rocky over at RK Blades. And his verbiage, RK Blades has, I think, 40 or 50% market share in India. I think they sell like 350 million blades a month. And they've got really good market share in the Middle East, but no market share in America, which I don't care. I'm not a wet shaver, right? Remember? By the way, Elon talks a lot about, he's like doing things in rockets because he's new. He looked at it with a fresh perspective. Maybe the fact that we're not in the business is kind of working to our favor, or it's not. I don't know. Time will tell. However, I digress. When Rocky was talking to me about the blades that he makes, A, he uses a carbide that means that it can hold a sharper point. B, he's got a really good grind. And C, he's got really good positional consistency. And positional consistency just means our razor is only as good as the blade that our holder is only as good as the blade that sits in it. And the reason that we chose Astra, not because it's the sharpest, people are like, feather's sharper. I'm like, yes, I know that. We're aware that there are sharper blades. Imagine a spreadsheet where you're like sharpness, consistency, and strength, and I'll say hardness, or how long it can hold a knife's edge for, all get put into a spreadsheet, and they get aggregated and weighted based on how important each of them are. Astra won the spreadsheet. Okay, they had the most consistent positional with the whole. Where did they go? I just had it here a second ago. So the post holes on the blade. I'm going to go on video for those that are talking. Just where these holes are on the blade. So Astra won that. So when Rocky reached out to us from RK, we were like, hey, this is all we care about. And all of a sudden I got this like 25-minute answer on all of the things that he does in his factory, replacing his die grinds, keeping his dies consistent, his grinding wheels, and how often he replaces those so he knows how on spec his final grind is. And when we looked at his product under the microscope, it looked really good, like really good. So we kind of said to him, we were like, look, we have no intention of making a blade. He's like, dude, I've been in the shaving business for 40 years and your handle is the one that we think is the best. And we want to come into the North American market, and we want to do it partnering with like who we think best represents the core principles that made RK good in India. I said, bro, you're speaking my language. So then all we did was we came up with a box design and a new blade spec. So we sent him exactly what we wanted our blades to be if we were to magically make a blade ourselves. He then came back, made that blade spot on spec. And like, I remember CMM, like imagine a big, huge machine with probes that's the size of a kid's bedroom that has a giant, ceramic table on it for measuring. This machine, we put the blades on and it measures to, I think, like 5 or 6 decimals. And he hit like right exactly like what we wanted on positional accuracy, and he holds a really. So we put it into the razor, we put it into the handle, and we gave it to a bunch of people. And there's a few people in our lives that, like, no matter how many good reviews we get, they're just like, hey, Dan, congratulations, 144 countries, slow clap. I still get red marks. So we have a few of those like people who are still in our lives and then we gave this to them and they were like, solved. So we think we might have something for that very few percentage, a very small percentage of the market who is not winning with Astra. And we were like, how do we price it? What do we do? We're putting it on the market for $10 for 100 blades. Like, not much, like a little more than, not cost, but it's not a gouging model. And so we're bringing them in from India with our branding on them. And we are just so happy with how they're made. And they're on sale, I think, like Wednesday of next week. And it's not even going to be a big thing.
Oh, wow.
We're not, I don't even think I don't know if they're going to tweet it or whatever, or socially.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be like, hey, this is what we're using now. Okay. And it's not going to be like we're not having an event with smokers or foggers. It's just, It's a really good blade. It's not the best blade. It's a friggin' good blade. And the reason I say it's not the best isn't because I like one more and couldn't get it. It's because I do not believe that you can arguably say that you have the best blade, because it all depends on skin elasticity and all these other things. It's a really good blade. That's all. And we really like the material that it uses. We like how hard it is, and we like the grind that they hold on the end. It's a really sharp blade. And we've done some testing on sharpness, and it holds up very well. So no, we don't want to make a blade ever. And I would just as soon find someone who's the best and partner with them. So we have a bit of margin on our Astra blades, and we're basically holding the same margin. Like, we're going to come in at probably half the price of what I would call, I don't want to say inferior, because I think it's still objective with blades. Like, I think there's still a preference there. But from what our definition of what we're looking for, consistency, sharpness, and hardness, and accuracy, that's consistency. Why have another one when you don't need to? It's literally the same. It's just they were objectively what we found to be the best for our handle. And so that's next week. And I don't know. I think we'll probably say something about it just so people know, but it's that we don't want to make a big thing out of it.
Okay. But I mean, that's pretty exciting. And I'm interested in picking some up and trying it out, just because you sold me. You sold me on it. Well, but also,
watch it suck.
but like you said, it's very, like, blades, especially amongst all the different pieces of a shave, are so subjective. And like, and at the same time, people are very loyal, brand loyal to what they like. But in the end, it's one of those things. You try it in your favorite razors, not just one, because it's not going to behave the same in the AL13 as it is in another razor that you might have around. So it's a little, like, for a hobbyist, it's fun. It's fun to try and tweak. So you've definitely perked my ears.
Cool.
to that.
Well, for the low price of $10, you can have
right, to try it out too. It's not, I'm not like,
and the other thing,
mortgage.
The other thing, we're gonna just stick it on Amazon. It's not going to be, because they're going to do great on shipping. So okay. I'd be worried that you'd go to our site and just select, so we can make, like Amazon, they take, I don't know what percentage, just so we can make a couple bucks more. We have to charge you $10 for shipping. That's not fair. So that'll just go on Amazon. It'll be on our site also for when you buy. But I don't expect that if you want to, you can give us $10 for shipping, and it's unnecessary. But if you go to Amazon and you have a Prime membership, just assume buy it there. Again, the purpose behind this isn't the dollars. I think we've got like a respectable margin on it. Not really where you'd want to be, but we've got a respectable margin on it. But the purpose of this, again, is just to complete the story of almost like someone doing something that you wish was done. We want to keep making decisions for the company, not, I'll tell you, man, I said this to somebody the other day. I have been in, my background was consulting before this, digital media consulting, e-commerce and publications. Me and a couple other guys started moneywise.com, and we've scaled companies before. And so from that, I went into consulting, and I will tell you, there is a photograph of you as a stick person on the boardroom wall, and their goal is to get money from your pocket to the companies. That's their job all day long. What new products can we make? How can we tweak them? What ongoing revenues can we build? What subscriptions can we sign you up for? It is a constant game of how do we drive money from the consumer to the business. And this is fine. We're all okay with it because it gets us the newest iPhone. And, we have now phones that can take, I don't know, X-ray vision bullshit. Like they're just amazing because of this principle. So I'm not flacking on it. Mm-hmm. But in the back of everybody's mind, there's a lot of people that are probably like, give me something good and shut up, Like, you're not a part of I don't want to be a part of everybody's day. I don't want everybody thinking about, us and getting emails from us and hearing updates from I don't want to be in your living room. I'm not your friend. I'm a person who thought I could make a really great product. And if it's great, then great. And if it's not, then move along. Our goal is to make a product and a company the way that everybody just kind of wishes that you did, So, are we going to come out with a lotion? When I'm godsmacked by a lotion that, found if we were to come up with a lotion, it would be like the extract. it would be like, oh, you mix 1 drop of this in with a cup of water and you have lotion for like a year. It'd be like, we would find the most hyper efficient, super cost efficient, non-ongoing revenue. Like we would just find a way to do it with such competence. And that's why I'm going, I don't see it, because I don't know how I'm going to do that. So the goal of the company is to be kind of the way we would hope that someone was. And we're not Mother Teresa over here. This is for profit. Our aim to have more profit is by hopefully doing the right thing, and then people will care enough to say something. That's we're trying to make money just like everybody else. We're just trying to do it in a different way. And my hope to do it is, my bet is, there are companies all around the world who are currently spending tons and tons of money to try to get into my brother's shop. That's all their job is who can we send out there? How can we get somebody? How can we grow with them? They've got satellite manufacturers sending teams in to schmooze them, saying, how can we take over more of your machines? When you find somebody so competent as them, that's the card we're sitting on. Now imagine I come in with like an okay lotion. It's like, nah, you can't. The product's too good. So we now just have to protect the rest of the company to make sure that we keep up with what we feel the product's competence is. And by the way, if it sounds like I'm high on my own product, sorry, I like it. I think that we've got something interesting where if we keep reading reviews from people, they keep telling us that it's something that they think is interesting. So I think what we want to do is just really not screw that up. So that's kind of how all my answers are going to keep coming back to, like, we're just going to try to do what we think everybody would want us to do.
It's funny because, like, the way you talk about this, I doubt there are many people that listen or watch the YouTuber known as Mr. Beast. He's basically the biggest YouTuber right now, in terms of making videos. He makes ridiculous videos. I don't really watch them, but I saw a podcast. I listened to a podcast with him, and he said, all I want to do is make the best videos possible. And that's how he ended up answering a lot of, like, oh, what's in the future, right? He's like, I just want to make the best videos possible. Right. Any money that, like, I make from the channel is just going to go back into the channel to make the best videos possible. Yeah. And it just seems like that, like, you just want to make the best product possible. Why look into making new products? Because I believe in this one. I believe that we have an excellent product, and so we're gonna put that at the forefront. We don't like in smartphones. We don't need a budget model. We don't need a mid tier. We have our flagship model, and we know it's really good, and that's what we're gonna go with. And then we'll have the gold-plated titanium one for the people that want to flex. But guess what? Yeah. We have a good product.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Apple crushed that, right? Like, Apple has this really interesting tendency of, like, being late to the punch, but then pretending they're not late to the punch, but then secretly they're a lot further ahead the line. I don't know if you ever want to research it, but there's this company called I believe it's called Magic Systems. Apple acquired them in, I think, 1987. If I'm not wrong, someone's going to, like, tell me that I'm wrong, and maybe it's like 1984. Apple had the basic framework of the iPhone, like, back in the 80s. They sat on that. Microsoft came out with, like, iPads 5 years before Apple came out with the iPad. Microsoft was out with them. Market wasn't ready for it yet. Apple's got this huge tendency of, like, sitting there in the back room, like, waiting until you're finished and then coming in and being like the hero because they've analyzed how everybody else reacted. And so there's this thing that not many people pay attention to, but there's this thing in business where if you take a step, you need to be able to support the step. You need to be able to, like, you need to be confident that step is the right step. So for me, I'm just like, why don't we just take less steps? Like, if every step I told you that you were on a shaky bridge, you'd walk pretty slow. And I'm not saying our company's on a shaky bridge, but we have a reputation to uphold for, like, the razor's really good. So I want to step really slowly and step really carefully because we can't screw that up. And I think one of the things that Apple does really well is they wait until other people have taken the step, watch where they failed, and then they come in after without those broken pieces. and then they can run really fast because they know that they're on the right trajectory. So we're kind of trying to model that at the same time. My business partner, Ashley, we call him Captain Horizon, because he'll like stub his toe and he won't even care, because in 5 years he knows where he's going to be. And this is just something along the way. So he's like very much on team, like, this is going to be a generational company. Henson's not here to go raise capital. And, somebody said to me a while back, they're like, what's the difference between Henson and the razor I learned to shave on 15 years ago? I was like, well, for one thing, if it was a Henson, you'd still have it. And she's like, oh my God, like it finally clicked in her head. Like, we're not here to like be gone in 5 years. We're not here to make a new product every year and like slay dragons and post wicked quarterly earnings and be the fastest growing. We're here to show the world what a ridiculous commitment to I hate this precision. We're here to show like what actual aerospace machining can be for your face. That's the mission. Nothing else. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just marketing gobbledygook. So we're just trying to like do right by that.
Yeah.
The YouTube ads question. I don't get YouTube ads because I pay for YouTube Premium.
Oh, do I miss that one? Oh, I'm sorry.
So I didn't even know that you guys do ads. So I'm like, YouTube ads, what are those? But I don't know if he like misspent. It's just, what's been the spend on YouTube ads? They seem to have slowed down because they were fairly ubiquitous for a while. I don't know. So I mean, I'm guessing that you guys like, did a bunch of YouTube ads and then maybe they've slowed down so people aren't seeing them. Like I said, I pay for YouTube Premium, so I don't see any ads.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We are still advertising on YouTube. We are, I mean, if I can talk about ads for a minute.
Sure.
And a half,
Oh, of course.
This has been the absolute bane of our existence, is finding a way to market this product that's within Integris lines to our mandate, our path that we've chosen. I have a couple of boxes around the office here of other razors, and the words that they use, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. They use the nicest words. And then you look at the product under the scope and you're like, for real? Like there's not a connection between marketing and life. You know what I mean? And so what we're trying to do is we're constantly trying to find a way to say, here's the connection between marketing and life. And so once we figure out how to say that, then I think we can have a better approach to advertising right now. Currently, our approach to advertising is me sitting in front of a bloody machine literally a week after we started the company being like, here's why we did it. And I'm like a bumbling fool, but it's doing okay. And it's the word that's getting out there. And that's all we got. And we've hired all these agencies and oh God, like we've hired marketers and it's no good. They produce ads. They produce junky ads. And so we're working on one right now where it's all CGI and it basically shows you like a golf ball, a quarter, a dime, the Henson, and then it like zooms in like a lot. And then it shows the room for error. And it's like, it shows a hair and the hair is like this big on your computer screen. And then the room for error is like a pixel. And you can only see it if you like zoom in and in and in. It's like, that's what 2/10 looks like. It's like, that's what we do. We have a razor that's accurate so that it works. It's like how you do that in a YouTube ad is like really tricky. And we've hired 3 companies now to do it and they all suck. So we didn't air any of them. So we're trying to make something that will, in my opinion, represent the product. And I think that'll be out in about a month. And until then, it's just my ugly mug saying why we did what we did. And yeah, we are still advertising on YouTube. And the reason that person who asked that question will be seeing them less is strictly because we control how often people see our ads so that we're not like harassing them. So after they see an ad a couple times, we'll usually make rules and policies that it doesn't follow them. If they keep clicking on the ad, then actually it'll keep following you. So news alert, if you keep saying our ads, it's because you keep engaging with them. So stop it. If you don't click or engage with
Henson,
the ad, they'll quietly go away.
Okay.
Do not click on the ad, just buy Henson.
Yeah, don't, leave it alone.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tackling that question. Yeah, I think that it's
everything else. I mean, in general, you had mentioned Ken's question, John, on like, do your users like tend to be enthusiasts or hobbyists? But I mean, I figure at 30,000, yeah, like you're definitely, you had the was it the early adopters, right? The people that were willing to stand in line, like the Apple, the whole like Apple analogy, the people, day one standing in line, etc. And then now it's starting to just shift.
It's shifting now. If we most of our inbounds, people emailing us now are telling us they're coming from multi-blade, and I'm starting to figure out that there's a pretty big gap in the market between, because I think a lot of people have tried safety razors not knowing what they were doing and they cut themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
And
Definitely.
So they went back to cartridge razors because they don't require a learning curve. And now we're telling you that you can have the shave of a safety razor, but with the learning curve of a cartridge razor, which is 0. So we're starting to attract a different audience. And that's where I said my relationship with the wet shaving community is going to be, we're a gateway drug. I hope that people start using the Henson, and I hope that we help grow the soap market. I hope that we can tell everybody about all the artisans that are out there and how beautiful some of the soaps are that they make, and they can go and explore those, which is, by the way, another huge +1 to not getting into that space, because we don't want to own it. We want to support it.
Yeah.
We just want, if we can be some rain that helps water some gardens, then that's great. And I think based on our manufacturing and what we're scaling up, we have a 40,000 square foot facility. We have a huge shop, and I think probably like 20 or 30, probably 30 or maybe 40. I don't know the number, but we have like 30, 40 CNC machines. Like the shop is humming. And so we're going to continue to scale our production just as fast as the market continues to show that they want the product. And so we're scaling fairly quickly right now. And yeah, I would really hope that, I would say in 2022, we're going to bring tens of thousands of people into the community.
I do want to mention that I know we've been talking for more than an hour now, and it's I don't know. I think we have a very solid idea of what Henson Shaving is, and kind of like a mission statement, even long term, how you want to be perceived. So normally, I'd ask the question, what can we expect in the coming months, in the coming year? And I know the answer to that
Same
already.
thing.
I know the answer to that already. So
Henson,
instead,
the best razor possible.
Yeah. So I do have a different question for you to kind of, as we're kind of winding things down, is that you've described what the typical consumer and hobbyist interaction is, let's say with your competitors, with other razor makers, which is you buy a model, you love it, and you see what else they have, right? You change a base plate, you change a different, I mentioned, people were asking about slant razors, single edge razors, all that. That's not what you guys are about, clearly. So because we're not like jumping from hype release to hype release, in your ideal world, what is the relationship between wet shaving hobbyists and Henson Shaving? Like, what might that look like?
A gateway drug. Like if we can expose people to, I mean, I'm making this up on the fly here, but like imagine mini putt. I imagine there's some people that are interested in golf because they used to play mini putt. Now, is mini putt the game that they played forever? I don't know. I think there's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to use our product and never experiment with another razor again, ever. They're going to be like, this does the job and it does the job great. And then there's going to be a ton of people that are like, now, what else is out there? Like, so I think that the relationship that Henson is going to have with the wet shaving community in a perfect world, is likely going to be where Henson is respected for what it is and not hated for what it isn't. Oftentimes, people ask us questions about why we're not doing blank. And I'm going, because we didn't create it to do blank. Acknowledge that you wish that we did, but we didn't. Now, maybe we're wrong that we didn't, but we didn't. It's like someone's like, where were you yesterday at 8 o'clock? I'm like, at my house where I was supposed to be. I didn't know I was supposed to be somewhere else. We're trying to do what we say we want to do and not claiming to do a whole bunch of stuff we're not. So a lot of people are holding us to a standard that we didn't actually ever claim that we wanted to be. Like if someone said, oh, this is not nearly aggressive enough. I don't know where on the website it says that we want to be an aggressive razor. Like we're here to be like a safe razor or shave that people really like. We're not here to, I think some people like knowing that if they screw up, they could cut their aortic artery and bleed out. Like that's a risk. That's like driving a car fast around a corner. Like people want to know that it requires skill. Don't buy our product. We're not here to be something that you can learn to manage risk on. We're here to give you something that accomplishes a job that we say that we can do. And so I think the relationship that we'd want to have with the wet shaving community is one where they appreciate what we are and don't aspire for us to be something that we're not.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap things up here. So let me just say thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on to the podcast. It was so really eye-opening. I think you were just really just open about what Henson Shaving is about, what you're about, what you guys are trying to do, and I think the best thing we can do is just wish you success. This year, I do really hope that more people new to wet shaving discover the Henson, because I truly do agree and believe that it's a great razor to start out on, or that could be your forever razor if you want it to be. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We appreciate the time, and we owe. I want to say thank you to the wet shaving community, no matter where you sit. We've had haters and we've had lovers, but no matter what, lovers is weird. No matter what, where people sit, we owe a lot to. We owe a lot to the community, and that's where my position is, that we're here to serve the community now. And if there's anything that we can do that the community wants us to do, short of changing the business model of the company, I'm very happy to oblige. I'll do my best to, aggressive aluminum. I talked to my brothers about it on the way home. So I don't know if that's a thing. That's a thing. I'll wait to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. See you, dude.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode with Henson Shaving. You can find all their links, as well as the links for Gerard and myself, in the show notes. If you have the means and would like to support the show, please go check out the Lather Talk Patreon page and become a patron. You'll get access to bonus content, behind-the-scenes footage, and much more. For more information, just head over to www.patreon.com/lathertalk. Again, that link is www.patreon.com/lathertalk. Some other ways to help support the show include leaving us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We hope you guys are doing well, and we'll catch you next episode. Take care.